Week 2 of the legislative session was dominated by education issues and transgender procedures. With a recap of that and other legislative news from 23rd and Lincoln, we're joined by our Capitol correspondent Jason Doyle, who joins us now from our OETA studio in the Capitol. Jason.
Rich, much of the work being done at the legislature right now is in committee rooms. But that didn't stop the Oklahoma Senate from taking up a major controversial measure to outlaw the practice of transgender therapies for youth.
The chair sees a quorum. The Senate will come to order.
Senate Bill 613 by Senator Julie Daniels restricts what is referred to as gender-affirming care for youth under 18 years of age in Oklahoma. It was raised as a concern by Governor Stitt and lawmakers during last year's ARPA special session, in which the money would not go to OU Health if transgender therapies and procedures continued for youth. Senate Bill 613 was the legislation which brought hundreds of people to the Capitol on the first day of the session to protest the policy. While Daniels believes her legislation is meant to protect children from permanent damage, she says her heart goes out to parents and children who are dealing with transgender issues.
Childhood and puberty are difficult enough, but to add this to that very difficult time is almost beyond imagination for me.
Senate Democrats led the charge in an attempt to change Republican minds. However, Senator Carrie Hicks felt the bill's destiny was predetermined.
Mr. President, I think we already know how this vote is going to go.
So instead of debating against the bill, Hicks spoke to her constituents.
And so if my constituents are listening, please reach out for help. You belong here, and you deserve access to gender-affirming care in the state of Oklahoma.
Daniels says the physicians she's spoken with support the restriction on youth.
They can choose what to do with their bodies when they're an adult, but we need to protect them in the meantime. Another one said, I do not believe it should be legal to permanently alter the physiology or body of a child for the purposes of gender reassignment. So that's what we are doing today as policymakers, stepping in and making the best decision we think we can to the benefit of Oklahoma's children.
Despite the stand by Democrats, Senate Bill 613 passed along party lines, 40-8. Now it moves to the House for consideration. On Thursday morning, House Speaker Charles McCall outlined the House Republican caucus's $500 million education plan for this session.
The education plan will put Oklahoma ahead of Arkansas, set us even with the state of Florida, and put us just behind Texas in per pupil expenditures.
A key component of the plan includes tax credits, not a voucher for parents. Parents who send their children to private school will be able to claim up to $5,000, while homeschool parents can receive up to a $2,500 tax credit. Unlike the voucher system, parents won't be getting the money up front.
Both of those will require documentation and proof to submit to actually claim the credit.
House committees were busy with issues involving children as well. Representative Mark Lawson presented House Bill 1017 to create the Family Representation and Advocacy Program.
What we're doing here is establishing a program that is going to train attorneys to represent both parents and children on the deprived docket.
Lawson says the program will help give families, especially in rural Oklahoma, better access to legal representation on family issues which involve the possible separation of a child from their parents. He adds it's part of Governor Stitt's child welfare agenda.
It does go along with a lot of the tenets laid out in the governor's child welfare task force to get either children back home with mom and dad or rights terminated so that we can adopt those children and they can have some permanency quicker.
The House Children, Youth, and Family Services Committee passed House Bill 1017 by a vote of 7-0. It now heads to the full House for consideration. The Senate Education Committee took action on a $541 million education plan this week as well. Senator Adam Pugh on Tuesday cleared the first hurdle to getting his education bills through the Senate. That includes increasing the minimum salary schedule for teachers in Senate Bill 482.
Breaks it into year groups. So let's start with your years 0 through 4. So this is your starting teacher through 4 years of experience. This would increase that schedule by $3,000. years 5 through 9 by $4,000, years 10 through 14, $5,000, and years 15 through 25, $6,000.
The Senate Education Committee passed the measure unanimously. They also approved Pew's mentor teacher stipends, reimbursement for teachers who take and pass certain competency exams, the creation of the Oklahoma Teacher Corps program, and paid maternity leave for teachers.
Honestly, can't think of a more pro-life thing that we can do in this body than support moms who just had a baby, and not make them make a very difficult choice, which a lot of them are making, to leave their profession and not come back.
Pew won approval for Senate Bill 636, which freezes college tuition and fees at current levels. The Edmond Republican is concerned that with rising prices, college students could be choosing to drop out or defer their higher education.
Now, having seen the budget request of the state regents and having met with every college president in the state, I felt like this was the appropriate time to put that tuition freeze in place to evaluate what the right cost structure is for a higher education degree, and then for this body to work through what the right funding level is for that.
Pew noted this was not meant to be a cut to Oklahoma's public colleges and universities. Pew's slate of bills now heads to the full Senate.
The legislature now has two major education plans, one from each chamber. McCall noted that both plans have some things in common, which will help with the negotiations as the legislative session continues over the next few months.